Thank you. So welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Foreman. I am the Senior Co-President of the Parent Teacher Council, and we are here for our January 2021 meeting. We are here, um, unbelievably, or not. So tonight we have a good number of things to cover, and I will ask if you just got on, if possible, if you could change your name so that we could see what school you belong to. That would be very helpful because we will be voting on the bylaws, and we just need to make sure that we have the correct number of votes and that we have a quorum as well. So that would be very helpful if you could do that. If you have trouble, well, we're all Zoom professionals by now, right? But if you're on a computer, if you hover over your box on the upper right with your mouse, there are three dots in blue, and you click on that, and then you can go down to rename, and you can type in what you need to type in. So that's how you do that. I will ask if everyone could make sure that they're on mute unless they're speaking. That would be very helpful too, because sometimes we will get strange noises. I know there are strange noises in my house, so I will put myself on mute when I'm not talking too. It is bedtime, so Lord knows what's going to go on in my house right now. So thank you for being here, and I am going to first turn over the discussion to Jeff, and I don't know if Paula's here, but our treasurers have a couple of things to tell us about what's going on with our finances.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. So I'm Jeff Hers. I am the PT Council Treasurer for anybody who doesn't know me. This will be a very short report, which I'm sure you're all very happy about. We have collected dues and scholarship funds from every school except for one. I won't name any names, but if there are any representatives from Dolan who are on the call, if they could please reach out to me, because I just would like to talk to you about a couple things. Nothing specific, anything to do with dues or scholarships. So just want to understand the situation. So if we have a rep from Dolan, please reach out. Paula, are you on? I don't see her either. The second thing that we wanted to talk about is matching funds. So the way that the process, the PT Council is considered the overarching organization for all of the individual PTOs or PFOs or parent organizations. And the way that everything has been set up structurally from a tax perspective is that any matching donation should be run through the PT Council and run through the treasurers. And that's primarily for tax purposes, and it's literally just a pass-through process. So if you reach out to me and say, hey, my company matches dollars, we need to make sure that it's being set up through the PT Council and through the PT Council's EIN number, which is the tax ID number that applies to all of the underlying, even though each individual school has their own EIN number, from a legal and IRS perspective, they are all supposed to go through the PT Council. So rest assured, I have no interest in keeping those funds that are rightfully going to whatever school you want them to apply to. Just reach out to myself and Paula Thompson, who is the other treasurer. As if you're making a donation and your company or somebody else matches, let us know so that we can set up the process, because we're going back and forth. Happens to be with another school where somebody started the process with their school, then we started with the process with PT Council, and it's become, let's just call it a kerfuffle. And so to avoid any kerfuffles in the future, the ideal way would be to say, I'm going to pick on Stephanie. Stephanie or her husband works at a company that matches. So she sends her donation into Foch because I know that she's at Stanford High and she wants her company to match that. She would then reach out to us. We would then register with her company as the primary nonprofit. And then when we got the funds, we would then write a check to, in this particular case, Stanford High. I think that will make it easier in the future and avoid any other confusions about matching dollars. So if I could just ask all the presidents and treasurers on the call to make sure that, matching dollars is a fantastic thing. It's essentially doubling your monies. And if you work for bigger companies, it's a great way to double your donations. But unfortunately, we have these hoops to jump through. So please work with us ahead of time so that we can get those funds to you as soon as possible. Does anybody have any questions on that? Yeah, Stephanie, take yourself off.
I actually, I don't work for my company anymore since I was laid off last summer, but they were very generous in matching donations, and and they do it electronically. So we just did it like to Stanford High or at Dolan or at Stark. Was that bad?
It's not bad because like we're going through hoops with Fidelity right now, because it is also the level of rigor that the company that you work for or that you're asking for.
That's right.
Goes through. I mean, like, listen, if somebody will donate, I see this lovely lady in front of me donates to Stark directly, then that's great. But the problem becomes is like, if you do it and you start the process and then they go, well, you know what? When we look up the EIN numbers and we look up the tax situations, then it becomes a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna call out Yolanda here, who happens to be right in my, from Stark. Then they've got a half a process with Stark, and then we have to go in, and then their systems are all messed up. It's just so to me, it's a question of what is the size of the organization, and the level of like detail that they give to these matching organizations. Like smaller local companies may not be as big. Other ones might, might be more stringent in how they do it. Amy?
I actually remember years ago having a problem, and it may have been Fidelity where they had a problem, whereas some other, like my company is big, but they were just able to just do it. They didn't seem to really care when I put all the numbers and stuff.
Some companies are going to care. Amy, you've got your hand up.
Yes. So for my company, I've actually had matching funds every year for the last several years, and Stanford PTO just pops up. It's in the directory. So, and the check goes right to to Strawberry Hill. I can continue that then if it's all set up properly?
I don't. For me, it is if it's working. If it's what's the opposite? If it's not broken.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we need to fix it. I'm just saying, as we're going forward with we've run into a kerfuffle with Fidelity and, with Rogers specifically. And again, like, I don't know what the right answer and what the wrong answer is. From my perspective, it is easier if they can send it direct, if the company is less stringent and we'll send them directly to you at Strawberry Hill or at Stark or at Stanford High. But not all companies are going to be that lax to do that. So I don't have a clear-cut answer. The correct legal answer is it should go through the PT Council, but there's overhead there. It's not a big deal for me or the treasurer. I get the funds in, I deposit it. I'll send, I'll reach out to the school and I'll send you a check. I certainly have no interest in keeping it in our account when you guys can use it for whatever it is that you've intended it to be used for. That answer your question, Amy?
Yeah, great. But how would you recognize though which school it is for then? Because it's a
they usually tell me, or if God forbid I were to get a check from nobody, I would probably just send an email to our great distribution list and say I've reached a matching fund. Can somebody tell me what, has somebody supplied, like, I don't know. I haven't run into that situation yet, so.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Does the original donation have to go through the PT Council then? Or
that depends upon your company.
Okay, so you can say, I'm donating to this, but you have to match it to something else?
when I worked for Bloomberg, or when I worked for another company that did matching, I put it in and they just sent it, like similar to, I guess, Amy's situation. They wound up just sending the check directly to the school. So again, it's going to vary from company to company. And I'll be honest, I mean, I hate to say this. First of all, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a tax expert. I'm just writing the checks here for the PT Council. To me, it's a crapshoot. I mean, I don't know what the company's criterias are of where they're going to be more stringent and where they're not going to be more stringent. My assumption is smaller companies, more local companies will probably be less stringent, but the bigger, top 50 financial companies may not be. But again, that's just me completely speaking off the cuff after a glass of bourbon. Any other questions? I mean, I guess my last counsel would be is if your company or your spouse's company has matching, is have that conversation with, there's usually somebody on that you can contact in that company who can tell you what the standards are. And then if you have that conversation ahead of time, you'll know if they'll deposit directly to the school or if it needs to be passed through the PT Council. So that would be my last bit of recommendation. I see Paul has popped in. Paul, I don't know how much you've heard, but is there anything else you want to add based upon your experience with Fidelity? You just went on mute. Paula, you just went on mute. She's giving us the most, there you go.
I have to say it's an interesting thing with the Fidelity. I think Kristen was finally able to get in, but one thing for sure is that if the PTC Council's EIN number is not used, we cannot access that money. It's not going to allow you to retrieve it. And one of the difficult things that I came across was the verification process. So I kept hitting bumps with it. They want to know who the controller is. So they're a little bit more stricter, and they're going to verify the treasurer and they're going to verify the telephone number. So whatever it is on file for that EIN number or the TIN number, that's what they're going to verify. So it's something that schools have to be very, as Jeff was saying, that if somebody is giving and this is the place that they're using, it has to be done, strategically kind of. And Rogers is fortunate that they have a number, but if it was for us and it's our number, we would have to make sure that all our documents are updated and in place and so forth, because it's not going to let you get past the screen at all. And then Kristen did it and she updated it, and then she had to email them back again today where it took out every information that she did and revert the account back to what it was before. So, but it's not an easy, well, I didn't think it was an easy process. There was a lot of emails back and forth, back and forth.
It was a lot harder than it needed to be. And that's why I say, I think if you're lucky enough to work for a company that matches or associated with a company that matches, I would reach out to the giving officer,
right,
or the giving department ahead of time and tell all the members of your own individual organizations that they should understand what the process is and get either the school or the PT Council registered before the donation is made, because that will make it go much, much faster.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on that, because the question it's asking was, even though it was selecting nonprofit and it was asking, it was asking like specific questions, and then it says, who's the controller? And they want the social security number of the controller. I couldn't get past that screen at all. I don't know why. It was just set up that way, and it's set up for like a nonprofit. They were asking for who the controller is, and they want a social security number.
Okay. Thanks, Paula and Jeff. I'm gonna kind of try to move on here. Hopefully
okay.
we don't encounter, hopefully most of the companies that are matching make it a little easier than that. It seems like that was just, this company was just making it hard, but I am going to move on. Actually, I promised Betty Kelly that we would start her around 7:45. So since this has taken a little while longer than I thought, Betty, are you ready to?
Yeah, and I'm flexible with the time. So if you need more time to
Okay,
discuss your other business, that's fine.
Yeah, no, we have a couple of, I'll just go through items number 2 and 3 then, and
Yeah,
we'll keep you right after number 3.
that's
So HFC allocations, for those of you who've been around PT Council for a while, we usually get the Healthy Food Choice money that we had, or some wonderful people had initially negotiated with the district when we stopped being able to raise funds using certain methods that involved not healthy foods. So unfortunately, we were, the funds that we were going to receive this year were drastically cut with all the budget cuts, if you remember from last spring, but they are available. And because we do have a new finance director, we kind of are a little behind the schedule that we've usually had, but his office is sending to the principals all the information with the forms that you need to fill out to request the money and what you're going to be using it for. So all the money, and I can share the link to, or if you want, I can show you if I could share my screen. I have it up exactly how much money each school is entitled to. Let me see if I can do that easily. Nope. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Do you want to?
Do you see the green button? Can you try and hit share screen?
It says host disabled participant screen sharing, but it looks like Michelle's doing something. So maybe she's
Michelle.
letting me. No, you don't know how to do that. Okay. Wait, I'm getting a 1 second here. Yeah, okay. There we go.
It's one at a time. I think you can.
Okay. So I want to share, what do I want to share? I want to share Safari. So I'm going to share that and not that. It won't let me. Okay, stop share. 1 second.
It will.
So I need to go into Safari. I need to pick the
And share it and minimize it. Yep.
Document I want. Let me just, okay, here we go. Safari, here we go. So can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So you actually have to look at the column all the way on the right to see the amount that they approved. So Davenport's, so it's under the line that's marked 2410 support services. I mean, who would know that that's actually the HFC number, but that's what it is. So, it starts about a third of the way down. Davenport is the first line. And all the way on the right side, you see $810. So that's the amount of money that each school is entitled to. So if I look down here at Strawberry Hill, we get a measly $206. And then, wow, Stanford High School, look at you, $8,598. I hope you use it well. So, that the instructions along with the form on how to get that money should be going to your school principals in the next couple of weeks. So please do ask them if they've received it. That money is for the PTO. Do not let the principals use it for their own pet projects. That is not what it's intended for. It is intended for the PTOs. And if you have any trouble with that, please do let me know, because I will make sure that doesn't, that your trouble goes away. Okay. Any questions about that? I'm going to stop my screen sharing. Although I will show you, I think Rippewam Pre-K is there at the bottom. So if anybody's in the pre-K program, they get money too. So I can't see everybody while I'm sharing. So any questions about that? All right, yay, okay. And then I'm going to pass this over to Regan, who's going to talk to us a little bit about taking precautions when you are hosting a Zoom meeting or any kind of electronic video conference meeting. Regan?
Okay. So some of you may heard there was an incident at one of the PTOs last night where there was a Zoom bomber that was not very nice, pretty offensive. So we just wanted to remind all PTOs, and I'm not an expert on Zoom, so if anybody has any other suggestions, that if you're having online meetings or events, whether you're doing Google Meet, Zoom, WebEx, whatever, Teams, to make sure you have some security precautions in place. So for Zoom, that would be, I would always say use a waiting room and a passcode. I would suggest having multiple hosts, so that somebody can be letting people in from the waiting room and somebody can mute people and somebody can remove people if needed. And I know we want to be inclusive, but I would really suggest for the waiting room that you tell people to identify themselves. We had an event at AIT a couple nights ago, and there was somebody that did not identify themselves, even though we repeatedly sent a message to the waiting room saying, please identify yourself, and they didn't. And so we did not let that person on. Not what we'd like to do, but again, I know at my daughter's school, there was a Zoom bomb back in the spring, and so it was very upsetting to her. So we just need to be careful. So those are some of the precautions that I would suggest. I don't know if anybody has other thoughts.
Amy and Karen have a question. Regan,
Yes.
maybe also Amy. I'll unmute her.
And that's another thing, make sure the co-host can do, or co-host can mute everybody quickly if needed.
Yep, I'm trying to unmute.
Oh,
Okay.
it looks like my hand.
Amy, there. Amy is.
My hand was just still raised from last time, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Karen, you had a question?
Karen, you have a question?
Not a question, just a comment. I can send you guys, a screenshot of some Zoom settings that you can put on that are, would be in your Zoom account settings where, if you're having a presentation like that, I always, I disable whiteboard. Some of what happened last night was the student or whoever it was, sorry, I didn't mean to say that because we don't know. The person, Drew, was able to draw a whiteboard style on the screen, and you can remove that setting. And a lot of times when Zoom does updates, then your settings might go back to original default. You just kind of always have to check them. It's a good policy before a meeting. Go in, check your settings. Has anything changed? I also only admit people from the United States, things like that. There's a whole bunch of settings that you can do so that no one else can share their screen while you're in a presentation. So I can email that to the group.
And I would also suggest recording your meetings. If they're going to be personal meetings, obviously don't do that, but maybe try. And it takes up a lot of space, but if you just record it to the cloud, then you can delete it after a while if you don't need it.
Stephanie has a question.
Yeah, that I
Can I just
would
jump
love
in
to
a
see
second?
all that, the settings, because last night we were trying to figure out after that meeting what exactly happened, and we were wondering if it was because we had, I made a Facebook event on the Fosh page and whatnot, but I did think that it must have been the Zoom settings. I mean, I know when I have a meeting with my friends, it's, there is a waiting room automatically and stuff like that.
I
But
just attached a screenshot in the chat, which has some of those settings that you might want to turn off. But I'd be happy to, if anybody wants to reach out to me afterwards, I could do like a little demo with them to show them, how to do that.
that'd be great. Thanks, Karen. Thank you.
Stephanie, I don't think the waiting room is an automatic thing. I think you have to click it for it to be active. It's not automatic.
For some reason, mine is when I updated Zoom the last time, but that could just, there's only
It's a
4 people.
default in the settings of so when you set up the account, you can set the settings and it's a a checkbox of yes, automatically set the.
But Jeff,
waiting
don't you have to
room or
click
don't.
that for it to be active? Because I think default when it comes, when you download Zoom, does not activate it. I might be completely wrong.
I don't know, but I know that it's a option in there, so I don't know. what the
There's an
default-
option for sure, yes, but I don't believe it's automatic, but I could be wrong. And like Stephanie is saying, perhaps when you update it, it probably now defaults it to automatically asking for a waiting room for sure.
Yeah, and I would agree with Karen that I would, for those of you that have Zoom, go in every couple weeks because there are updates, and so you might not realize there's something. So there are tons of, so I did not use Zoom before COVID, and now like I use it all the time for my job. I would recommend, there's a lot of good YouTube tutorials on Zoom. I have not found Zoom's tutorials to be as good. The just regular YouTube ones, go ahead on there.
Thanks, everyone. I just asked Karen to email me that PDF with the settings, and I will send that out and post that on our Facebook page as well so that everybody can have access to that. So thanks. And thanks, Regan, for your tips and everybody else for sharing best practices so that we can all avoid being traumatized by Zoom bombers. Okay, so with that, I will now turn it over to Betty, who is, I guess I knew her best or had heard of her as Body Wise by Betty.
Body Wise by Betty, that's correct.
And, so welcome to.
Thank you, thank you. There are several people here that I think I know from the past as well. So just to give you a little bit of background, those of you who know me, I am a fitness instructor. I teach a lot of kids, but I teach classes for women as well. I wasn't always in the fitness profession. I was once in nuclear medicine for many years, but I became disabled because of Crohn's disease. And it was my fitness that brought me back to health. And so I stayed with that rather than going back to the hospital. This whole COVID thing for me, I had to shut down March 13th with everybody. And I thought that it was going to be 4 weeks like everybody did. And 4 weeks became 3 months, and 3 months became 6 months, et cetera. During that period of time, Apples had asked me, would I consider recording some of my videos or some of my classes. I initially tried Zoom. I couldn't deal with it. It was too complicated for me. I said, no, let me just record. So I recorded and I shared them with Apples, and it went really well and they really enjoyed them. And I found that because I couldn't teach anywhere, I couldn't teach in my studio, I couldn't teach after school, in order to keep my sanity, I just kept recording classes. And to date, I think I've recorded about 160 of them. And I was like, what am I going to do with these now? And I just thought perhaps I could work something out with the schools where you could raise money for your schools, which is probably very difficult right now because you're not in normal session. The kids need to be moving. I know that when school first closed in March, by April and May, I had parents asking me, was there anything I could do to get the kids moving? They were getting anxious and they were getting restless and so forth. In the summer, I was able to do some outside programs called Fit to Go in the neighborhood. So a parent would, open up their backyard and invite neighborhood kids. And we did a whole fitness program with the distancing and masks and hand sanitizing and all that. And then the summer was over and the fall came, and we continued it till about late September. And then I was able to do my Hoop Girls outside at Davenport, but now everything is shut down and I'm getting the same responses from parents all over again. They've got to get moving. I've got to get them out of the house. What can we do? Do you have any suggestions? We thought we were going to get Hoop Girls and a boot camp going at Davenport again, starting next week on the 19th. And I think I just found out, I'm not 100% sure, but I got contacted from the person who is the supervisor for buildings, saying that the buildings cannot be used for after school. So the rec department had me all set up and ready to go. And now I'm finding that once again, we can't be in an after school setting. So my offer is to see if the schools want to use these videos and have parents buy subscriptions, whether they're monthly or quarterly or yearly. And we figure out how I can benefit from it and how the schools can benefit from it. So I'm at the stage of it right now where I don't really know what to charge, what a school would think would be reasonable, what they think their parents could afford. I know that there are a lot of people probably already purchasing online videos to try to stay fit. And I know that also, I think the schools, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw on the website that the Aetna, Blue Cross and Blue Shield was offering, I think, some mindfulness yoga 1 day a week, that they were doing it for the teachers, but then they started opening it up to the families. I don't know if they're still doing that or if parents took advantage of it. But if a school decides to do one of these programs that I'm calling Fit for School, basically what you would do is you would advertise it to the parents and see if they would be interested in signing up. And then we would work out some sort of a percentage of the whatever you raise through that program going to the school, and then a percentage coming back to me to cover cost. For instance, the website that I'm setting up has probably about $3,000 so far in cost, which I'm told is actually reasonable, because I'm told that websites can cost up to $15,000 or more. But this one includes videos, and it's going to have to be updated. It's not 100% ready yet, but I did send a link. Were you able to share the links of some of the videos that I did do, the YouTube links? No? Okay.
No, I did not.
All right. Well, if anybody has time to just click on those links, you can see the type of classes that I'm talking about. They're family classes, they're classes for toddlers, for grade school kids, and there's a lot of them for adults as well. There's bar, there's rebounding, there's strength training, there's yoga, there's Pilates. For the kids also, I have mindfulness yoga, storytime yoga. And they're all on YouTube right now, and I wanted to get them off of YouTube so that if a mom is working from home, for instance, and she wants to have the kids be active and put something on the computer or on the television for them, they can feel comfortable that it's not on YouTube. It's just a plain video that goes directly to my site, so they don't have to worry about the kids seeing things they're not supposed to see on YouTube. And that's really it. And so what I'm hoping I might get from this meeting is an idea from some people as to what they think would be a reasonable charge per month for something like that. Because most of the time when you purchase an online video, you're purchasing one type of fitness format. It's either a yoga, or it's a bar, or it's strength training, but rarely are you going to find something where you get all those modalities, so that it helps the moms who are at home, it helps the kids, it helps the families, and everybody, staying active. So I was thinking probably $20 a month. And if a school was to run it from whenever we can get it launched until the end of a school year, again, you can do the math based on how many people you get to register. I mean, there are some scenarios where a school could be making $20,000 in a 10-month school year if enough, people signed up. So any questions, or has anybody that listening signed up for any online videos during COVID? Nobody?
Michelle has.
Yoga? Michelle?
Yeah, I have a yoga subscription.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, how much is that costing you a month?
I think it's $59 a month.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I know it can vary, you can find some Zumba only, online videos, and they might cost you $10 or $15 a month. I would say that probably the only one that I'm aware of that offers a lot of variety is Beachbody, and it can be very reasonable. But they're also trying to sell a product. They're more interested in you buying their shakes and their weight loss stuff than they are really in the fitness. The fitness gets you in the door, and then it helps you because obviously you're drinking their shakes and you're watching what you eat and you're doing their videos, and hopefully it helps you to, succeed at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. but this is very non-commercial, you know. And I'm trying to see if I can get other community members involved. I've recruited Shannon Wade. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a really awesome Zumba instructor. She's going to work with me teaching the Zumba for adults because I don't do that anymore. My knees don't let me do that anymore. That's why I keep bouncing on my rebounder. But, you know, Dorothy Mackey, who is a teacher at Stanford High, she is a kickboxing instructor, and I believe she teaches pound. So she's somebody else that we could recruit to record videos that could go on the site. We could have guest instructors, maybe a ballet teacher who wants to do an introduction to ballet, a one-time thing, or Irish step dancing, whatever. I mean, it's got a lot of variety. There's a lot of different things that we could add to it. But the bottom line is, you know, would the school be interested in something like that if I was to put together in writing a proposal? And you could see what the potential would be for what you could raise in a school year without it actually taking up a lot of PTO time as well. You know, I mean, you don't, the most you would have to do is advertise it and encourage the parents to register. You could run it for 5 months, or, you know, whenever we get it started, or 4 months, and see how it goes. And then in September, if it went well, we could pick it up again and continue with it. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to tell you. The website will have a healthy lifestyle blog / newsletter. There would be reminders to tell people, don't forget to work out, don't forget to do your class today. But it's not Zoom. It's not the kind of thing where the class is at a set time, because I know that parents need flexibility and the kids need flexibility. If more than one school was to participate, if you had many schools participate, you know, we could do some sort of a competition. You know, the school who signs up the most people wins a big screen TV or a Mac Pro or whatever. You know, I mean, we can work on that to see what we can do to get it, you know, to get it going and to get people on board. I do want to try to recruit other professionals in doing it, because I don't want people to have to just look at me all the time teaching. That can get old. And also with the kids classes, when I first started recording them, because it was in the thick of COVID, I had to do them by myself. But once things started to open up and the kids went hybrid, I was able to get some of the kids that I normally work with in the schools to participate in some of the classes with me. And those are a lot of fun, because the kids are dancing with me or doing the different fitness things with me, and that's a lot of fun. But the classes that I have are rebounding, which is aerobics on a mini trampoline. Now, not everybody has a mini trampoline, so I don't know how many people would be interested in that. But the other classes are ballet bar, which I know are very popular. They're often combined with some upper body boxing for a warm up. I have strength training, both with weights and using body weight. As I said, yoga, Pilates, and then all the kids' classes. The variety is great. So there are some people, I don't know if anybody's here that's taken any of my classes in the studio. They might be familiar with the classes and what they're like. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if I'm covering everything. Yeah.
This is Lynn Tusa. I don't think my picture's up. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'm not sure if you can see me or not. But I do want to say that I've been taking Betty's classes, I mean, probably like 10 years, more than 10 years. And I take her rebounding class once a week, although I'm on hiatus right now because of COVID, and I really miss it. But as much as I love her rebounding class, I mean, I really love her strength training. What's really nice about her classes is that you can work to your own ability. So when you're getting started, use less weights. As you get stronger, use more weights. Yeah. And Betty's just really engaging. So
thank you, Lynn.
Her music is great. She's always got more energy than anybody in the class. And I would say, I don't know how the model can work out and, you know, how the fundraising element works out, but her classes are amazing and she's really wonderful to work out with. Thanks. And way back when, Zachary now is a senior, but way back when Zachary went to her camps, and, you know, some memories built there that will last him forever. She engages amazingly with kids, and her hooping and all her classes at her camps are just tremendous. So
Yeah, I think
don't-
I missed that one the most, my hoop girls. We were up to 60 girls before COVID hit. And I don't know if you
how the
got
model
it.
will work. Yeah,
What's
I don't know
that?
how the model will work, but I think it's really well worth our time to try to figure out how we can get our kids moving, whether they're little or whether they're, you know, Zachary's age. And, you know, her weight training for some of the older kids is really great. So I just wanted to chime in and just say that I wholeheartedly, you know, support the work that Betty's doing. And if we can figure out how to make it work from our PT Council in terms of all the schools and making some funds from it, you know, it's kind of a win-win, because it's both earning funds that we all need in our schools and getting our kids moving and getting ourselves moving, actually. So
Yeah. And I mean, when I crunched the numbers, only because I'm not really sure what you'd want to charge, or I mean, I've been out of school for a while now with my kids. My son is 25 and my daughter's 26. So it's been a while, but I don't know how much you consider a good fundraiser, you know, something that, like, I know you guys do jogathons and different things, but I don't know what would be considered a good fundraiser, you know, from a financial perspective. But, you know, if you can make $10,000 or $15,000 in a year without having to do anything really other than promote it, and it's something that is healthy for the kids and for the school itself, you know, I think it would be beneficial for everybody all the way around. I don't expect everybody to sign up. Not everybody might like the classes, you know, that might not be their cup of tea. But that's again why I would get other instructors involved with this as well. You know, other people to do Zumba. I've got another gal who does Zumba Strong. Anybody here ever done Zumba Strong? Yeah, so it's very challenging. I don't do that one either. But yeah, so you know, we get lots of variety. I've got another yoga instructor also who's willing to work with me. So it wouldn't be me on the screen all the time. In the very beginning, it might be until we got it really rolling. But and then what would happen is whoever signed up, if they signed up for $20 a month, let's say, they would have unlimited use for all the classes that are on the website at that time. There's no minimum or maximum. If you pay that one-time fee, you sign up on the website, your credit card is kept on the website, obviously, and then it's just automatically billed. There would be a 7 or a 14-day trial. You guys can decide what you think would be best. So they have the opportunity to review the videos before their credit card is actually charged. And then after that, their credit card is charged, you know, monthly until we decide to end the program or until they decide to cancel. They have an opportunity to cancel at any time. But of course, it's a fundraiser. So they probably won't cancel because it's helping the school, even if they find that they're not using the videos that much. And that's really it. And the only other thing I probably would need on your end would be, so that you knew who was signing up, would be to, I would instruct the person who just signed up to send a copy of their registration to a person on the PTO. So you might have to have one person to just keep track of the people who have actually registered. Because when you go onto the website, there's, and you go to register before you pay, there's a drop down where you click on the school that you're supporting. So that's the way it's supposed to work anyway. I know we're working on that. But what we're finding is that when I first started looking into this, I couldn't find anything that was less than maybe $5,000 or $6,000 to launch, you know, and get the videos up and to get it the way I wanted it. So I decided to just keep it on my website to get it off the ground. Because right now the investment that I've made is probably, I don't know, maybe $2,500. So once we get it going and the guy that I'm working with gets the drop down to work and everything is set, and I know that the website's going to work properly, then I would reach out to you and you could start advertising it. So yeah.
Betty, so I have some ideas about where we could kind of take this, because we do have to move on.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if I could share a couple of those videos, especially the kid videos. I mean, I know I what I like, but I want to know if my, this one is gonna,
Right.
actually
Do
be
it.
engaged by
Mhm.
one of the videos if I'm going to be spending the money.
Of course.
And perhaps those of us who are on can kind of see if this might be something that we're interested in pursuing, and then people from the different schools, if they're interested, can contact you. I can give them your information and we can go
Mhm.
from there.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
sound
The
good?
programs right now that I have online for kids are pre-K up to like grade 5,
Right.
maybe even 4. They might even be, there's some of the Zumba would be okay for a 5th grader. A boot camp would be okay for a 5th grader, but they're really geared more towards the younger
Mhm.
kids. And eventually as it grows, again, if I get other instructors involved, a kickboxing instructor, for instance, would work well for an older, a 5th grader or a 6th grader, or certainly a boy, that
Right.
kind of thing. So,
Okay.
but we'll see how it goes. But if you guys can get back to me with some suggestions about, not only looking at the videos to see if there'd be videos that you would be interested, that your kids would be engaged with, but also what would be a fee that would be, reasonable.
Great. Thanks, Betty.
All right. Thanks, guys. Stay well.
All right. So now on to item number 4 on the agenda, which might do the double duty of working on our bylaws and getting my daughter to fall asleep. I am going to turn it over to, I don't see Jackie on, but I do see Regan. So, oh no, Jackie's here too.
She's on. She's
Um,
on.
Okay, I missed that. So if Regan and, oh, there you are, Jackie. Hi. So if Regan and Jackie would like to take it and talk a little bit about how we, what kind of changes we made and what we were thinking, that would be great. And then we can open it up for discussion and hopefully vote in the new bylaws if all goes well.
Great. Okay, so we typically try to review the bylaws every 4 years ago, so with PT Council, and we were realizing it has not been reviewed since 2010, and I believe Stephanie O'Shea was the lead at that point 10 years ago. So we said it was time to review the bylaws, as well as with everything going on with equity and anti-racism and everything, we really wanted to have our bylaws be more equitable. The PG Council Executive Board signed on to the Stanford Stands Against Racism statement back in the spring, and it was really important to the Executive Board to really put our, not just talk, we really wanted to walk the walk and talk the talk. So something we said we would commit to is to review our policies and rules to make sure that there's nothing in there that could be racist or contribute to racism. So we went through the bylaws over the summer and part of the fall. There were a few typos that we had to fix. There was some language that wasn't accurate anymore. So we kind of went through and went through everything. So I'm just going to go through briefly the summary of the changes. And then when I'm done with the summary, how about if you guys ask questions? And I'm going to let Jackie talk about the equity statement, but first let me go through the changes. So besides the typos and the formatting and all that stuff, we added a lot of language saying all children, like in caps, and using the words equitable. So we did a lot about that. We also specifically named out, in the past, we would say things like city boards. We actually named the city boards and the Stanford Public Schools. We never had anything in our bylaws about what happens if a PTO doesn't follow the rules or bylaws. So we added a section that if a PTO does not follow the requirements, they might risk removal from PT Council. We had a category called sub-member. And that came about because there was some drama with the PTO years ago, and they weren't letting some of their other parent groups operate through them. So we created this sub-membership. That's not happening anymore, and it causes a lot of issues with our IRS status and our insurance. So we decided that's not an issue anymore, so let's just get rid of it. We added something about proxies, that electronic proxies are okay, because in this day of technology as well as COVID, if we have to vote either by an email or a text, that would be fine. One big change that we're really excited about is we're called the Parent Teacher Council, but we have not had a teacher. I've been on PT Council 17 years, and I think we had a teacher once that was correspondent or maybe recording secretary once. Other than that, we have never had any teachers. Sometimes we've had teachers who are also parents. So we added as an executive board position an actual teacher representative. And we're going to be working with the union and other teachers to figure out how that works. We had a lot of restrictions about what you needed to do to be on the PT Council board. There were things like you had to have attended 3 meetings, you had to be a member of your own executive board, and we kind of got rid of a lot of that to make it more inclusive. We had rules about to be on the nominating committee, you had to have served in PT Council. So we were feeling that these bylaws were kind of exclusive, and we wanted them to be more inclusive. We also talked about, for the PT Council board, we wanted to be diverse and not just race or anything, but of course race, but also that it's diverse by school. There was one year, I think I was PT Council board, and we had so many people from Stark, which was great that we had a lot of Stark people, but we wanted to sort of spread the love to try to get diverse representation from different schools, different grade levels, magnet, non-magnet. And we actually said we don't want more than 3 schools represented by officers on the executive board. What else? A lot of the other
You don't
stuff.
want more than 3 people from a school
Yes,
represented.
sorry, yes, 3 people from one school, correct. What else? I'm just looking, anything that's. Oh, there was something about like you must have X amount of meetings, and we said, oh, you know, we'll just say there has to be no less than 5 meetings, because it was very, so there was just a lot of prescriptive things that really weren't necessary. But the biggest thing that we did, or that I'm most proud of, is that we added an equity statement. As you know, many of you may know in the Board of Ed, they had an equity statement and they're working to do something different. So we wanted to sort of mirror what they had, as well as CABE, which is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education. So Jackie Lateef Scully researched a lot of what was out there, and she came up with this statement. I want to say with the statement, it's something that us as an executive board, well, I'm not on the executive board, but the executive board signed on to and really thought about carefully. We cannot say to you member PTOs that, you know, you must look for diverse boards, or you must have, you know, interpretation at your meetings, or you must translate every document. We hope that you will, but we can't make you do that. The only things that we can make you do as PT Council is follow the rules for IRS and follow the rules for insurance. But we're hoping, we'd like to promote to you that you sign on to this equity and try to think about equity in your own schools. So Jackie, I talked for a lot. Jackie, do you have anything else to add?
No, I was just wondering if everyone has seen the proposed changes to the bylaws and the equity statement. I don't know, Jennifer or Zareen, if anyone has it, you could put it up on the screen. If you could share it by any chance. I'm on my phone.
I have it. I'll put it up.
Okay.
So does anybody have any questions for us? And I would also recommend individual PTOs, it's a good practice to review your bylaws every couple of years. And it's super, super boring. I will not lie, like one of the worst jobs, but it is important because you can always come back to the bylaws if you get into a sticky situation. And that has happened to me a couple of times. Being on the Stark and Dolan boards, we were able to then, you know, go to the bylaws to deal with the issue at hand.
I will just say that I was also very proud to be part of the committee that worked on this, on going through the bylaws, and also I really appreciated the time and the conversation that we all put into drafting an equity statement. You know, putting our thoughts into it and being open and honest with each other. So I don't know if this is a perfect statement, if this is perfect, but it's a start. And I do hope that, just to lend my voice what Reagan has said, that everyone, all the schools do take this back and think about what you can do in your individual PTOs and PFOs to be more inclusive. We all try our best to include everyone, but maybe there's something that we're not seeing. And hopefully what we've done with our bylaws can help you open your eyes a little bit more to something that you weren't seeing before.
So if no questions, Jennifer, I guess you can go for a motion to accept in a second.
Okay, I just want to thank both Regan and Jackie for their hard work on this. And I too want to say that I really appreciated the conversations that we had about this. The bylaws subcommittee met, and it was actually quite, I was surprised at how, easy it was to, come to a quick, just consensus on how to proceed. So I'm gonna take I guess if I'm gonna be able to see votes, I'm gonna have to take myself off the screen sharing. I'm really proud of this. I hope that, our member PTOs do understand why we're doing this. Obviously, as Regan said, the Stanford Stands Against Racism, it was an executive board decision to sign on to it as the executive board. We knew we couldn't speak for all of the parent-teacher council members. So, this is a step we are taking, and I was just thrilled that we were able to do that. I hope we can pass this, but I'm interested to hear if we have any thoughts or questions before we, I don't know, what was it, Regan, that you wanted me to do? I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted by all this.
There can be any, if you follow Robert's rules, if there's any discussion, usually do a motion, a second, and then any discussion, and then a vote.
Okay, so motion.
I'm not a member of PT, I'm not a delegate, so I can't. Do you want to make a motion? I'm looking at my husband.
Make a motion that we accept the bylaws as the updated bylaws as written and posted on the website and on the screen.
Okay, and a second. Okay, Zareen. Discussion. I can't see anything. I'm going to stop screen sharing because
I'm checking. I don't see any hands for discussion.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No.
Nope. No. Okay. So then
Just
we
so
need
we're clear, just so we're clear, it's one vote per school, right?
So thank you for reminding me. So what we do, according to our bylaws, that the bylaws that we're replacing, but the bylaws that are in effect until we replace them, each member of the executive board has one vote per position. So Jeff and Paula, you're going to have to share your vote. Everybody else, I believe, has one vote. Michelle is not a voting member, although very much appreciated. Although you are your representative for AITE. So you vote that way. And then we have one representative per school. Okay. So I'm gonna, stop sharing.
Stop sharing your screen. So, yes, I was just gonna say.
So that we can see everyone here. If you do not have your school written, we're gonna need to know what school you are. I guess we need a motion to vote. No, we're just ready to vote.
You can just vote. You
If
might
that
want to
discussion
do, you might
Just-
want to just do all in favor and then any against and then the abstentions.
Okay. So for those of you who know that you're representing your school and only one representative per school, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, well, this is being recorded, so we can. All right, thank you. All opposed? Please raise your hand. Any abstentions? So that was unanimous? Thank you, everyone. Yay, I'm so excited and happy, and you guys rock.
This is wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I was like, oh, what do I do if somebody wants to amend something or yes. Thanks for making my job easier. Okay. So moving on to the next part of our agenda, the Maureen Tobin Scholarship Committee. So for those of you who may be new to Parent Teacher Council, one of the annual traditions that we have is that we give a scholarship, we give out scholarships to graduating seniors who are going to college. It is a competitive award for students who are graduating from a Stanford public high school. And we are preparing the application right now to send out to the schools, and the deadline for the for seniors who are interested in applying is April 15th. We put together a committee of people from Parent Teacher Council or from the school PTOs, could be somebody from the school PTOs if anybody's interested, to read the applications. And we have a very simple weighted rubric. So it's pretty easy. You just rate each application on a scale of 0 to, I think it's 0 to 10 in each category. So it's pretty, you don't have to like do a lot of thinking in terms of judging. It's, you know, if you've never done this before, it's pretty easy. It's all laid out for you. And so the applications are due on April 15th. The committee should have about 2 weeks or so to read through them. And then we'll come together to discuss them. It usually takes about an hour on a, usually we do it on a phone call, but this past year we did it on Zoom because now we have Zoom. So it's a very limited commitment of time. I did it, you know, for 3 years in a row. I loved it. It really showed me how amazing our Stanford students are. They really are doing some interesting things. And as a parent of elementary school students, I was just blown away by some of the stuff that our graduating seniors were able to do in Stanford schools. So I highly recommend it if you're on the fence about it or just thinking about it. But we do need some people to volunteer to be on the committee. I would love for people to volunteer. The only thing is you cannot be on the committee if you have a child who is graduating from school this year, from high school. So I already have one name written down, Aru Nandikation. And, oh, Jim. All right. Jim Fleischer. Leah, all right.
Leah.
Leah Coleman. Okay, who else? Ann Flounders. Okay. Awesome. You guys are got some new blood here. Okay. Anybody else?
Is Paula saying she's part of it too? Yeah, Paula just said, yep.
Do it again. Great.
Yolande will volunteer.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Yolande. So Yolande Ford at Stark. Okay, that is great. Thank you all so much for stepping up to do that. It is really, truly a eye-opening experience, and I hope you find it as enjoyable as I have. So I will put together an email to all of you probably towards the middle of April to let you know when to expect the applications, and we will redact them so you don't know who the applicants are. And generally, I would say it's about 15 applications, so you know you can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. But thank you all for stepping up. All right, what's next on the agenda? All right, we're almost done here. What time is it? 8:41, perfect. We might even end early. So, number 6, upcoming meetings and service opportunities. So just to think ahead, we are going to ask for volunteers for nominating committee. So people who might want to help with getting some new blood in the executive board, you know, please consider doing a little bit of service for that. We'll take volunteers in March at our March meeting. Amy, is Amy still on? She was going to talk about the co-presidents meeting.
Amy, I see Amy, but. Ask her to unmute. I'm not sure.
Sorry.
There we go.
Hi, everyone. So I'm gonna host the President's the President's meeting the first week in February, and I hope to send out the email invitation tomorrow. I'm just waiting for a finalized list. And basically, it's similar to what we did last year, have the presidents get together and just have some good discussions to see what has been working this year on their end, what hasn't been working, asking for advice for certain things. You know, fundraising during COVID has been very difficult. What has worked? If anyone's, for example, has been able to do any enrichment items virtually, that would be a good question as well. I also hope to send out a survey beforehand to just get some questions and things that people want to discuss so we can have a robust agenda and use the meeting time as best as possible.
Thanks, Amy. And yeah, so we'll be sending out emails about that. And I just confirmed with Amy Baldati that we will be doing a distance learning and teaching academy panel similar to the one we did at our November meeting on live streaming. We'll do a panel on the DLTA in February. So this will consist of, we don't usually have a meeting in February, but we're gonna do the meeting on February 11th, which is the second Thursday of the month at 7:30. It will just be the panel. There won't be any parent-teacher council business that I don't think we're gonna need to do any business, but yeah, Zorene's like, no, we don't need to.
I didn't mean it like that, no.
Yeah, we've done, you know, we're taking care of business today. So we'll have the panel on Thursday, February 11th at 7:30. And the plan is to have some teachers on the panel, some teachers who are kind of, you know, being very innovative with their distance teaching. Some teachers maybe who struggled at the beginning, but who have, you know, kind of picked up things as they've got along. And I am here to ask you, I would love to have a parent on the panel as well. Somebody who might be able to talk about ways that parents whose kids are in DLTA, if there are any ways that you have been able to create some social connections or ways for your children to interact outside of the classroom setting, even though you're doing distance teaching and learning. I would love for you to be a part of this panel as well. So I'll give you guys a second to think about that and see if we have any volunteers right now. Anybody? I don't know if anybody on here is doing the DLTA. Otherwise, please, if you know,
Let me think about it. We are doing DLTA, so let me look at my schedule and I'll get back with you.
okay, thank you so much, Yolande. And Yolande, if you can't do it, if you know another parent who might be able to participate, or if any of you on this at this meeting know somebody who's been, active in kind of doing stuff with the kids for DLTA, that would be great. Just to, for some of the parents who might feel that their children are, kind of isolated, it might be really helpful to have some new ideas about ways to get their kids connected. So that's why I was hoping to have a parent on the panel.
Jennifer, I can do it. It's Lee.
Oh, thanks, Lee. And Yolande, if you can do it too, that's great. So just let me know one way or the other, okay?
Will do.
The more the better. Okay. And then finally, last on our agenda was to talk about the budget process. The Board of Education was meeting today, probably at the same time, to discuss the proposed budget for next year. As much as we may have been involved in the budget process last year, we kind of all know what happened there when the budget just got slashed because of the pandemic. But we still want to make sure that, at least I would like to make sure that the public schools get funded as best they can. It's in all of our children's best interest to make sure that Stanford Public Schools gets what they're asking for from the city. So right now, the Board of Education is discussing the proposed budget that's coming from central office. I had asked Dr. Lucero if she could send a representative to talk about what the next steps were, but I guess they're busy. So I know I'm going to put Regan on the spot here. Yes, I got your attention.
Regan wasn't prepared. She's like, whoops.
You've been around so long. I think you know this pretty well.
Now he was just listening before this.
Can you remind us what the next, where does the budget go from here, and what do we as what can we as parents do?
Sure. I mean, you can jump in, but so they're going to be talking about it at these next budget meetings that are just Board of Ed. So I would really encourage everybody to go
Tuesday
online.
The next one.
So the next one's Tuesday. The schedules come out on the board packet on Fridays. Then in February, there will be a time so that then the proposed budget will be proposed. Then there's a Board of Ed hearing. So parents can say, no, I don't like that part of it, or, change this or whatever. Then they go back and vote on it again. And then it goes to, there will be a combined Board of Reps and Board of Finance hearing. And that's really where we need to put on the pressure, because they're the ones that generally the Board of Finance first makes the giant cuts. So as a PT council, what I would suggest, which we used to do in the past, and Stephanie O'Shea can jump in, we would ask the Director of Finance, so that would be Ryan Feely, to prepare a one-page document of talking points that we could distribute to all parents in the district. And that way parents, the budget's really long to read. That way there's like highlights where you could say, you know, we support the budget because it's going to give 5 more hours per week parent facilitators in the school, like direct things that help people. I don't know, Stephanie, do you want to jump in on that? But that's what we found to be the most effective.
Yeah, actually, that was always so helpful. And I was on the call before this meeting, and they are adding the 23 parent facilitators as full-time positions.
Correct.
So that's something we all really want. So we should speak out about that. And we can definitely, you know, Jennifer, I don't know if you want to do that, reach out to Ryan and see if he can prepare that. And then everybody, if you just get up, because that's the problem. You know, we can all yell at the Board of Ed, but you know, they're on our side. It's the Board of Finance who and the Board of Reps, they feel like they have to cut something every year. So they asked for a little bit over 6%. Dr. Lucero did, which was about the same as that they did last year. And then, you know, we all know what happened. So, but they might be saying the same thing. Oh, COVID. So we have to really, you know, there's strength in numbers. Regan can tell you about a meeting years ago where it was mobbed. We were at a TOR and it was so crowded, and she got into a fight with one of the Board of Finance people. But I mean, it was mob scene. And now you go to the hearings and there's 5 people there, and 3 of them are talking about the library, which they should. I'm on the board of the library. We don't want that cut either, but.
So in terms of timing in getting our point across to the Board of Finance and the Board of Reps, what are we talking about?
I think.
So it's mid-March, beginning to mid-March. So I would suggest after the Board of Ed finalizes their proposal, you ask Ryan to prepare some sort of document. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I see a huge difference this year. The stuff he's had is like really good. So maybe we might even consider like a sub-meeting of PT Council or something where he can answer questions. I don't know.
But even the information presented tonight was fairly, it was cleaner, it was clearer. And this was just kind of the kickoff. But Tuesday, I think what's going to happen at the Tuesday Board of Ed meeting is each of the associate superintendents or each lead is going to kind of go more in depth within the main areas of the budget. So I think Tuesday's kind of an important one to really understand some of the proposals and changes.
Right, Tuesday and then Thursday, and then maybe the following Tuesday. I didn't hear, but definitely Tuesday and Thursday next week.
So, you know, there are several levels where, you know, if you really, really want to get in depth in the budget and understand the ins and outs of it, you know, go to all these Board of Education meetings where, you know, the Stamford Public Schools people who made the budget are explaining what the budget is to the Board of Ed people. And we'll be answering questions from them. That way you can really understand the budget inside or out. Alternatively, if you don't have like 5 million hours, you could, I will ask Brian Feely, I'm sure he will be happy to help us. We'll get the talking points and we will distribute those and let you know when we can contact the Board of Finance and Board of Reps people to kind of push that, you know, our agenda in terms of wanting them to fully fund the proposed budget. And Jeff, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Stephanie said, which is there is no substitute, and it's I don't know if it's easier or harder now since they're all meeting remotely, but of physically showing up and saying, even if you say, I support the budget as it is, and getting every single member of your PTO to stand up and say, I represent X school and I support this budget. You don't even need to go into the specifics. If we have talking points, it's better, because what otherwise winds up happening is, as Stephanie said, is you get 3 older people who don't have kids in the system anymore and say, I don't want to pay school taxes. I don't get any value for it. And that's what they hear, because those are the only people that are being heard at these events. If you show up with your entire PTO and they say nothing other than, I support the school budget, and that's repeated 100 times, that's a win for us.
Amy Lauder has her hand up.
I just wanted to ask, that meeting where the budget goes to the Board of Finance, they vote in that meeting, or is there a series of meetings? Because, I mean, don't we need to get to them before that night? I mean,
So
they
it's a
already,
hearing. So it's a hearing. So they start deliberating after the hearing. They don't vote that night, but that's a very good point, Amy. Not many people go to Board of Finance meetings. So I think it would be easier now that it's virtual if we somehow PT Council got a lot of people to start going to those Board of Finance meetings, because I think it might be hard for them to cut if they see all these parents on the screen. Stephanie and I have been in that small little room in the Board of Finance, and it's like me and Stephanie and Candy Yeager, and that's it.
I hear what you're saying, Regan, but the Zoom calls were full back in the spring and they still cut.
I know. I agree. So I don't know. I mean, you can talk to them all beforehand. Sometimes their minds are made up. I really do think calling them individually does help. Sometimes they don't return your calls, but
Yeah, we used to email letters and stuff. I mean, Amy, you're right. I mean, they they've got to cut, they cut. So, but at least, and I would say, you really should try. If you don't understand how the budget for Stanford Public Schools works, then you cannot go on Facebook or go anywhere and complain about stuff. Because once you get to know the budget, you know that Dr. Lucero has this much to work with. The rest of it is all set numbers, salaries, insurance, transportation.
It's at
So
93, 94% is per
Exactly.
benefits, which makes sense.
one other thing I just would suggest is hopefully you have a good relationship with your principal and you trust your principal. If you're not so sure, I would really recommend you assign somebody on your PTO board to really look at your school's budget, because there have been several times where something has been cut and PTO claims they never knew about it. And it's because they didn't read the budget. So I would, if you trust your principal that, he or she is supportive of that budget, yes, but I really recommend somebody on your board go through it with a fine tooth comb for your actual school expense.
So can I find the numbers, regardless of whether it didn't work last year? I really feel we should still turn up.
Oh yeah, just to be clear, I wasn't trying to say that it was.
No, and I didn't
just
say
that-
me, no.
Yeah, no, just that I wasn't sure if in the spring we got involved too late. It seemed like it was a foregone conclusion. So I wanted to make sure that we're getting at this early enough this year to have some impact
Amy-
on those members.
Amy, I think last spring was just crazy.
It's crazy with everything.
Yeah.
That was just unprecedented.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I don't know when they made that decision where they weren't going to raise the mill rate, like all of a sudden. So you're right, Amy, we were behind the 8 ball because they had already made that decision. So hopefully, and I believe, and we'll try to find this out, but I swear someone told me that like 95 or 6% of people paid their taxes this year. So that's what they were worried about. So like they could have raised it a little bit, the mill rate, they saved us some money, but in the long run, then they, cut the school budget and screwed us all with kids. So,
So can we?
I'm sorry, Serena.
So-
I think Yolande wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so listen, because I know we're going back and forth here. But can we get a list of the dates that we're supposed to show up, and so that we can let our respective schools know when we're supposed to show up, what we're supposed to say, so and we can get all of this done so that we can hopefully not have that budget cut again.
So
Can somebody do that for us?
Yes, we will do that. We will post it on Facebook. We will send it out via our email list, and that is a great idea. Thank you.
And you can sign up for those also.
Yeah. And the superintendent's, Dr. Lucero's note from last week outlines the initial meetings that are coming up now, and also the public hearing for the Board of Ed budget, which is on Tuesday, February 2nd. But the other dates of the upcoming weeks are mentioned in her email from last week. But then for the Board of Finance and stuff, I think we can get those dates and make sure they're all together in one place.
Yeah, I'll put it together. or
Awesome.
Maybe Jim can help me put it together since he knows where everything is.
And I
But-
just want to say, like, in case if anyone thinks, I mean, this is just my thing, you can always sign up for all those dates. You can always sign up for that's how I got involved. I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't go to PD Council website to look at those dates so many years ago. I signed up for those things where I got the notifications and they send you all the details of when the meetings are, just as a, just saying.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's helpful to know like specifically, because sometimes you're just sitting there and you're like, I don't need to be here listening to
True.
this guy asking why anyway, so we'll kind of talk about the places where our presence would really be most helpful. So thank you for that. If there's any other, we're done with our agenda. It is 9:01, so not quite early, but close to on time. Anything else before we close? Well, thank you all for joining
Thank
us.
you, everyone.
And thanks for a great meeting. I'm just so excited. Have a wonderful night and enjoy the long weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.